Sonia pushed through the glass doors of the hotel's terrace, the sea wind rushing against her face. The lights of the Cayman skyline blurred with the sting in her eyes. She wasn't the type to cry where people could see, but tonight the weight of humiliation and déjà vu pressed too heavy. Her phone buzzed in her clutch. Sonia ignored it. The last thing she needed was her sister's sharp tongue confirming what she already knew. Men could never be trusted with both love and temptation. Behind her, Liam's footsteps pounded closer. "Sonia, wait." His voice was tight, desperate. She spun, her composure snapping. "What exactly am I waiting for, Liam?" "For you to explain why your mouth was on hers when I walked in." "Wasn't what it looked like." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "Do you know how many women say that in reverse?" "You're not the first." Liam flinched. "She kissed me. I didn't spare me." Sonia's hand tightened on her clutch. "You wanted temporary. Fine, tonight it ended." For a moment, her eyes betrayed the crack in her armor, the longing she'd almost surrendered 2 hours earlier. Then she turned and strode away, heels striking like gavel blows. Liam dragged a hand down his face. "How the hell do I prove what happened?" He couldn't chase her across the lobby now, not with paparazzi outside. He had one chance, the cocktail reception still buzzing upstairs. Sonia left this island tonight believing him faithless. He'd lose her, not just as a wife under contract, but as the only woman who'd ever gotten under his skin. But what? Liam didn't know what Sonia didn't yet suspect, was that Arya wasn't done upstairs. Arya sat with Sarah, lips still tingling from the stolen kiss, replaying every second. She felt alive, reckless, powerful, unaware that the woman storming away downstairs was more than just Liam's business partner, and the universe, cruel and perfect, had already aligned them for a collision. The post-show press photos, where all three would be forced into the same frame. The ballroom shimmered with glass and gold. A stage of curated perfection for Cayman Fashion Week's finale. Cameras flashed as models mingled with buyers, influencers, and journalists. Quartet played something light, elegant, but underneath, the air hummed with anticipation. Sonia walked in late, alone, her dress immaculate, her poise restored like armor. No one could tell she had been breaking apart minutes earlier except Liam, who watched her from across the room. Every muscle taut with the ache of what he couldn't say. "Mrs. Westwood." "Right this way," a PR's assistant said brightly, ushering Sonia toward the Stepondry peat wall where photographers waited. Liam's chest tightened. This was already there, positioned for press shots with sponsors. He wanted to warn her, to shield her, but it was too late because Arya was already on stage, too sparkled in an emerald silk gown, Sarah at her side. Cameras eating up every angle of the breakout model of the season. Arya basked in it, unaware of the storm swirling beneath the surface. Then the PR assistant beamed. Perfect timing. "Let's have the Westwood Group sponsor shot. Mr. Westwood, your wife, and our rising star, Arya." The world slowed. Sonia froze mid-step, her gaze colliding with Arya's. Liam's breath left him like a blow. Arya's smile faltered, confused, first at Sonia's piercing stare, then at Liam's sudden pallor. And then, like a slow dawn, her eyes widened. The recognition, the shock. "Mom," the word slipped out, unplanned, raw. Microphones caught it. Cameras caught Sonia's hand trembling against her clutch. Gasps rippled through the room. Sarah's jaw dropped. The photographers clicked faster, sensing history, scandal, revelation. Sonia's world tilted. She had been holding her secrets so tightly for so long, and now under hot lights before strangers. With Liam at her side, her daughter had spoken the one word that shattered everything, and Liam, standing between them, understood in a flash that the kiss he couldn't explain had just detonated into a revelation none of them were ready for. For a heartbeat, silence. Just the frantic staccato of cameras and the hum of whispers swelling into shouts. Sonia's clutch slipped from her fingers. hitting the marble with a soft crack. Her composure, always her weapon, fractured as her daughter's voice echoed. Mom. Arya blinked against the flashbulbs, tears threatening to smudge her perfect makeup. Mom, she repeated, louder now, searching Sonia's face, as if needing confirmation that her instincts weren't betraying her. The crowd surged. Journalists leaned in. PR assistants scrambled to hush things, but the moment was already viral. Sonia's lips parted, but no words came. A dozen versions of herself wrestled inside her. The polished wife, the abandoned mother, the woman who had built a fortress of silence. Liam stepped forward, instinct driving him to shield them both. That's enough. Cameras off now. His voice thundered, but it only made the frenzy swell. Mr. Westwood, is it true? Is she your wife's daughter? Arya, are you confirming Sonia Westwood is your mother? Why didn't the world know until now? Sonia turned sharply, trying to leave, but Arya moved faster, heels clicking across the floor as she caught her wrist. The grip wasn't firm, but it was desperate. Don't walk away from me, Arya whispered, her voice trembling but fierce. Not again, please. Sonia's chest heaved. The ballroom spun. She could feel hundreds of eyes slicing into her, peeling away her years of silence. Her voice broke. She looked at Arya, her daughter, grown and radiant, and at Liam, who seemed both her anchor and her undoing. Isn't the place. It was never the place. Arya cut in, her eyes blazing, hurt spilling past her careful facade. Not when I was a child. Not when I searched for you. And now. Now the world knows before I get the truth from you. The room went deadly still at her words. Even the photographers lowered their cameras, sensing they were witnessing not scandal, but history, something raw, unspun. Liam swallowed hard, his jaw clenched, his mind racing. Every instinct screamed to step between them to control the narrative, but he knew this wasn't his fight to command. This was Sonia's reckoning, and she stood trembling, cornered between a daughter demanding truth and a husband whose loyalty suddenly felt like a cage. Arya, Sonia whispered, her voice cracking like thin glass. I never stopped thinking of you. The ballroom gasped as Arya's hand dropped. Tears welled in her eyes, mascara streaking. Liam reached out. But neither woman noticed, because in that blinding, unbearable moment, mother and daughter finally faced each other, stripped of excuses, stripped of time and nothing, not fashion. Weak, not the cameras, not Liam's power, could turn it back. Arya's tears glittered under the spotlights, but her voice carried through the ballroom like a blade. Then why did you leave me? She demanded, her chest rising and falling. Why did you let me grow up believing I was nothing to you? Gasps rippled through the crowd. Reporters scribbled furiously, their recorders lifted like weapons. Sonia staggered back a step. Her body was steady in its couture gown, but her eyes betrayed her, soft, breaking, fighting to contain decades of silence. I didn't leave you, Arya, she whispered, her voice raw. I was forced by who? Arya's cry cut like lightning. By him. She flung a trembling hand toward Liam. Dozens of eyes swung to him. Cameras clicked louder, sharper, tasting blood. Liam froze, the tension in his jaw unmistakable. He looked at Arya, then Sonia, his wife, his fortress, and for once he had no script, no strategy. Sonia's lips quivered. It wasn't Liam, she said quickly, too quickly, her tone trembling with desperation. It was complicated. I had no choice. Arya laughed bitterly, her tears falling unchecked. No choice or no courage. The ballroom exhaled in one stunned breath. Sonia's hand shot out, trembling as it cupped her daughter's face. I wanted you. God, I wanted you every day. The world I married into swallowed me. They told me you would ruin everything. That I had to choose. Her voice broke. The cameras leaned closer. Arya stared at her, her anger cracking to reveal the wound beneath. And you chose them, she whispered. The words landed like a guillotine. Sonia, crumpled, her body swaying as if the truth itself was a weight she could no longer bear. "I chose survival," she choked out. "But not a day has passed that I haven't lived in regret." Silence. A silence that screamed louder than any scandal. For the first time in years, Sonia Westwood's perfect mask shattered before the world. Arya pulled back, her expression unreadable, torn between fury and the ache of recognition. Her chest heaved, but she didn't walk away. Not yet. Liam stepped forward, trying to gather Sonia against him, to salvage dignity from ruin. But Sonia pushed him away, her gaze fixed on Arya as though she could finally see her. And as cameras exploded in light, one headline was already being written across every device. Every newsfeed: Westwood Dynasty in flames. Secret daughter confronts Sonia at Fashion Week. The ballroom dissolved into chaos. Reporters surged forward. Security scrambled, and the flash of cameras painted Sonia's face in relentless strobe. Shouts cut through the air. "Is she really your daughter? Who's the father? Did you abandon her for Liam Westwood? It's the Westwood Empire built on lies." Liam barked orders to security, his voice commanding but tight with fury. "Clear this hall, now." But Sonia didn't move. Her gaze was locked on Arya, who stood trembling, its arms wrapped around herself, her chest rising like a storm barely contained. Arya's eyes glistened with pain, but her voice was steady. "You don't get to rewrite history, Sonia. Not here. Not when you've lived your life pretending I don't exist." Her words silenced even the hungriest reporter. Sonia's breath hitched. She took a step forward, but Arya stepped back. "Don't," Arya said, her voice shaking. "You've already had your chance." The crowd gasped again. Sonia's hands trembled at her sides, the image of grace unraveling thread by thread. "Arya, please." For a fraction of a second, Arya's expression softened, a daughter's instinct fighting with years of abandonment. But she pulled herself straighter, wiping her tears with a defiant swipe. "You don't get to beg now," she whispered. Then, louder for everyone to hear, "I came here tonight to be seen. Not hidden, not silenced. Seen." Her voice carried through the hall like a verdict. The cameras captured everything: Sonia's collapse, Liam's fury, Arya's defiance. Security finally surged forward, trying to usher Sonia and Liam out a side exit, but the press swarmed. Hungry, unstoppable. Arya, standing alone in the glare of the spotlights, turned away first. She pushed past the crowd, her tears glinting but her chin unbroken. Sonia lurched forward instinctively. "Arya." But Liam caught her arm steel. In his grip, his whisper was sharp, lethal. "Not here. Not now." And for the first time in her reign, Sonia Westwood let herself be led away like a fallen queen. Her empire burning behind her in the sound of shutters and headlines already racing across the world. Outside the ballroom, the humid Cayman night wrapped around Sonia like a punishment. The ocean breeze carried salt and music from the distant shoreline. But all she could hear was the blood pounding in her ears. "Arya," she shouted, her heels clattering against the marble as she tore past security. Her gown dragged, the epitome of elegance now stained with desperation. Ahead, Arya's figure cut through the crowd, spilling from the gala a flash of silver dress, dark hair glinting under the street lamps. She was moving fast, but not fast enough to escape Sonia's voice. "Arya, please." Arya stopped abruptly, spinning on her heel. The fury in her eyes froze Sonia mid-stride. "Why now?" Arya demanded, voice slicing through the night. "Tonight? In front of them. You had years, Sonia, years, and suddenly you care." Her words hit harder than the cameras ever could. Sonia's chest heaved, every breath dragging. "I cared every day. You don't know. Don't you dare." Arya's voice cracked, but she stood her ground. "Don't you dare stand there and pretend you cared while I grew up wondering why my mother hated me enough to erase me." People were staring now, guests, photographers who had followed the chaos outside. The sidewalk had become another stage, the lights even harsher under the street lamps. Sonia took another step, her voice trembling, stripped of her practiced polish. I didn't hate you. I hated myself. I hated the choices I made. And if I could rewrite it all, Arya's laugh was bitter, brittle. Rewrite? You built an empire while I built walls to survive. And now you show up with your perfect husband at your side, and I'm supposed to. What, smile for the cameras? Sonia's eyes glistened. Ah, you're supposed to know that you're my daughter, that you always have been, even if the world never saw it. For a flicker of a moment, the words seemed to fracture something in Arya. Her breath stilled, her lips parted, a younger, wounded self peeking through. But then her jaw set again. She shook her head slowly. You don't get to claim me now. The silence that followed was louder than the crowd. Sonia's tears finally fell, staining the corners of her mascara. Then tell me how to fix it, please. Arya, tell me what to do. Arya's lips trembled. Her eyes darted away, toward the dark stretch of road leading into the city. Then she whispered, barely audible, stop pretending you're the victim. And with that, she turned, vanishing into the night before Sonia could move. The crowd's murmur swelled, cameras flashed. But all Sonia saw was the ghost of her daughter disappearing into shadows, leaving her with nothing but the weight of choices. She could no longer outrun. Behind her, Liam finally caught up, jaw clenched, eyes burning. He put a hand on Sonia's shoulder, but she shook it off violently, her body shaking. The queen had fallen, the daughter had fled. And the kingdom of Westwood was cracking under the streetlights. The streets of Georgetown blurred as Arya walked, faster, clutching her arms tight against the humid night air. Neon lights bled into puddles on the pavement. Car horns cut through the evening, and laughter from bars felt like knives against her skin. Her heels were gone, abandoned somewhere. Between the ballroom and here, barefoot now, she moved like she didn't care if glass cut her feet. She wanted the pain. She wanted anything that felt real against the numbness clawing at her chest. A taxi slowed, the driver leaning out. Miss, you need keep driving, she snapped, voice ragged, tears streaking her cheeks. She ducked into an alley. The smell of salt water and rust wrapping around her. Her hands trembled as she leaned against a graffiti-stained wall. Finally, letting herself collapse. Her breath came in jagged sobs, the kind she hadn't allowed since she was a teenager locked in her foster mother's bathroom, biting her hand. To keep the neighbors from hearing, she doesn't get to say that, Arya whispered into the dark, her voice shaking. She doesn't get to just claim me. But the words replayed anyway. You're my daughter. You always have been. Her heart hated her for remembering the way Sonia's voice had cracked. How it almost sounded like truth. Almost a couple passed by the alley entrance. The woman giggling, the man whispering something into her ear. For a second, Arya's chest tightened with something ugly, envy, loneliness, rage. She pressed her palms hard into her eyes until colors burst behind them. Her phone buzzed in her clutch. She yanked it out. A text flashed across the screen. Where are you? Please. Liam. Arya stared, her breath catching. Liam, the one who had smiled at her earlier like she wasn't invisible. The one who now stood tied to Sonia, to the lie. To the empire, her thumb hovered over the reply box, but her hands shook too badly to type. She dropped the phone to the ground, the screen. Cracking, damn it! She shouted, her voice echoing off the alley walls. She sank down, pulling her knees to her chest, her tears soaking into the silk of her gown. For the first time in years, Arya felt small again, like the child left on a stranger's doorstep. Like the teenager, no one came back for Dot, and as the night deepened, she whispered a truth to herself she'd never admitted out loud. I wanted her to fight for me, and she didn't. The words broke her. The sound of footsteps broke through her sobs. Arya stiffened, wiping at her face with the back of her hand. Arya. The voice was hesitant. Male, gentle. She froze from the mouth of the alley. Daniel. Liam's younger brother stepped into view. Not as polished as Liam, not wrapped in Armani confidence, but eyes that held something else. Recognition. He raised his hand slowly, like approaching a skittish animal. Hey, it's okay. It's just me. Arya shook her head violently. Don't come closer. Daniel stopped, his expression softening. You shouldn't be here alone. Not tonight. Not after. He trailed off as if the weight of what had unfolded back at the gala pressed against his throat. Arya hugged her knees tighter. Why are you here? I followed you, he admitted, almost sheepish. I saw you leave. I couldn't let you just disappear into the city, not after the way he bit the sentence in half. Arya let out a bitter laugh that scraped against her chest. What? Not after the way your perfect brother's wife tore me apart in front of everyone? Not after I became a punchline at your family's expense? Daniel winced, then crouched a few feet away, close enough for her to see the sincerity in his face, but far enough not to corner her. You're not a punchline, he said firmly. And Sonia, she's not perfect. None of this is. Arya looked up at him then, mascara smudged, her eyes swollen but burning. She said I was. Hers, like I was some forgotten secret. And then she looked at me like I was ruining her life just by existing. Daniel's throat worked. Silence said he knew more than he should. Arya's chest heaved. Tell me the truth. Is she lying? Or is she actually? Her voice broke on the word. My mother. Daniel's jaw clenched. He looked away, toward the slick glow of neon reflecting off wet pavement. For a long, crushing moment, he said nothing, and then, barely above a whisper, Arya, you deserve to know the truth. But it's not mine to give. Her stomach dropped. Daniel looked back at her, his eyes pained. What I can tell you is this. You're not crazy. You're not imagining it. And you're not alone in this, no matter what Sonia wants you to believe. For the first time all night, Arya's tears slowed. She studied him, wary, but there was no pity in his gaze, only something like solidarity. The silence stretched between them until Arya finally whispered, then stay. Just for tonight, don't leave me. Daniel nodded once, and without another word, he sat down beside her on the cold, dirty concrete. Not touching, not pressing, just present. And for the first time in years, Arya didn't feel entirely abandoned. The limousine glided through the midnight streets, its tinted windows flashing with passing neon. Inside, the air was suffocating. Sonia sat rigid, her hands folded tightly in her lap, her diamond bracelet catching stray beams of streetlight. Across from her, Liam leaned back, jaw tight, one hand drumming against his knee. He had poured 2 glasses of champagne earlier, but neither had been touched. Finally, he broke, What the hell was that tonight, Sonia? His voice was low, controlled, but there was steel behind it. Her eyes flickered toward him, then away. Don't start. No. Liam pressed, leaning forward, his voice sharper. You don't get to throw your entire life into chaos and then shut down. Not this time. What was she talking about? Sonia's chest rose and fell, but she said nothing. Is it true? Liam's tone cut through the silence. Is that girl? He hesitated, choking on the word daughter. The question hung heavy in the air. Sonia closed her eyes as though bracing against a blade. Don't. Liam let out a disbelieving laugh, running a hand through his hair. Jesus Christ, Sonia, all these years, all the secrets, the whispers, the cold distance, and now at the gala of all places, her head snapped toward him, her voice suddenly sharp. You think I planned this? That I wanted her to show up? That I wanted her to look at me with those eyes? Her voice cracked, and for once the mask slipped. Liam stared at her, stunned. He had seen Sonia angry, icy, manipulative, but not like this. Not fragile. She wasn't supposed to exist anymore, Sonia whispered, more to herself than to him. I buried that part of me. I had to. The words chilled the space between them. Liam leaned forward, searching her face. So it's true. Sonia's. Silence was the only answer he needed. He sat back slowly, the weight of it settling in. For a long moment, he just stared at her, as if seeing her for the first time. "You lied to me," he said finally, quietly. And that hurt more than his earlier anger. Sonia's lips parted, but no excuse came. It's just silence. The limousine turned. The city lights spilling across their faces. For the first time in their marriage, they were two strangers sitting across from each other, bound together by a secret that had just detonated. The limousine slowed at a red light, but inside, the silence didn't ease. Sonia's diamond-studded fingers trembled slightly in her lap. Though her face fought to remain carved from stone, Liam leaned forward, voice rough, not with anger now, but with disbelief. "Tell me everything. No more evasions. No more icy silence. Who is she to you? Why does she look at you like that?" Sonia's throat tightened. Her instinct was to retreat, to deflect, to armor herself in the steel she had perfected. But she was cornered by her husband, by her own past, by the daughter she thought she'd erased. Finally she exhaled, the sound fragile. "She was mine before you, before the contracts, before this life." Liam's brows furrowed, his breath catching. "You mean you?" "I was young," Sonia cut in sharply, then faltered. "I was reckless. I made a mistake. And when she was born, my family made the decision for me." Her voice cracked at the word family. Liam stared at her, his world tilting. "You had a child and you never told me." Sonia's eyes glistened, but she didn't let the tears fall. "I couldn't. You wouldn't have married me if you knew. Your family wouldn't have tolerated it. Do you think the Westwoods would accept their golden son with a woman who already carried another man's? Stop." Liam's voice was firm, but his eyes betrayed him. Betrayed hurt, betrayal, and something else. A flicker of pity. Sonia finally looked at him. Really looked. For years, their marriage had been a fortress built on strategy, appearances, and careful lies. But right now, in this suffocating car, the walls were crumbling. "I buried her," Sonia whispered. "I convinced myself it was the only way to survive, to become this." She gestured bitterly to the diamonds, the silk gown, the limousine. But tonight, her voice shook. "Tonight she looked at me like I was a stranger, and it gutted me, Liam. She was my blood, and I didn't even recognize her laugh." For once, Liam didn't know what to say. The light turned green, and the limousine pulled forward, carrying them toward their mansion, but the space between them was wider than ever. Liam finally spoke, his voice low. "So what now, Sonia? Do we keep pretending? Do you keep burying her? Or do you finally face the mess you made?" Sonia turned toward the window, her reflection warped by passing lights. Her lips trembled. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice raw and gnat. More than anything terrified Liam. The limousine turned into the long winding drive toward the Westwood estate. Neither spoke. The hum of the tires over the cobblestones filled the silence like a funeral march. Sonia sat rigid, nails digging into her palms inside her gloves. Every secret she had locked away now felt like it was seeping through the cracks. Liam's jaw flexed. He'd always prided himself on control, in the boardroom, in their marriage, in the public eye. But tonight he felt something new gnawing at him, helplessness. At last, he broke the silence. "If she's your daughter, then whose blood runs in her veins?" The words landed heavy, almost cruel. Sonia flinched. "You really want to go there?" she asked bitterly. "After everything we've built? After every gala, every photo shoot, every magazine cover where we've smiled like the perfect couple?" Yes. His voice was iron. Because that perfect couple image just shattered the second you admitted you abandoned your child. Her. Head whipped toward him, eyes blazing. "Don't you dare call it abandonment. Do you have any idea what it cost me to walk away? To claw my way into a world that would have slammed every door in my face if I showed up with a baby in my arms?" Her voice cracked at the last word, and she turned away quickly. Ashamed of the weakness slipping through, Liam studied her in the dim light. For the first time, he saw not the flawless, untouchable Sonia Westwood, but the frightened girl beneath. The one who had bartered her heart for survival. And yet, his anger held. You should have told me. Sonia's shoulders slumped. I should have. But I was terrified. Terrified you'd look at me the way you are right now. The car stopped at the mansion. The chauffeur stepped out, ready to open the door, but Liam raised a hand. Drive around, he ordered curtly. We're not done. The car pulled back onto the road. Sonia's breath hitched. Realizing she was trapped, not by the locks or the leather seats, but by the man beside her, Liam leaned closer, his tone quieter now, more dangerous. If she really is yours, then she's mine too now. And if you won't face her, I will. Sonia's head snapped toward him, panic flashing in her eyes. No, you don't understand. If you go near her, you'll destroy everything. Maybe. Everything deserves to be destroyed, Liam shot back. For a moment, the limousine was thick with silence, two powerful wills colliding. And somewhere out there in the city, unaware of the war ignited in the backseat of a black car, Arya laughed with Daniel, free, fragile, and walking straight into danger. The limousine slid through the city streets, lights smearing across the tinted glass. Sonia pressed a hand to her temple. Her body looked poised, elegant, but inside she was spiraling. Liam's voice cut through. Going to find her, Sonia. With or without your permission. Her eyes snapped open, sharp and desperate. You don't know what you're inviting. The truth isn't some clean revelation, it's a weapon. And if you hand it to the wrong people, it will destroy her before it saves her. He narrowed his eyes. What are you hiding now? Sonia bit the inside of her lip, silent. She couldn't tell him the whole truth. Not yet. The night she left her baby wasn't just about survival. There were names, promises, a shadow over her past that, if unearthed, would pull them all under. But Liam leaned back suddenly, his voice like a verdict. Then I'll find out myself. The car finally rolled up to the estate gate's iron bars, swinging wide as if they were teeth about to swallow them. Sonia gathered her gown, sliding out the moment the door opened. Head held high, though her legs shook. Liam followed, slower, heavier. A man carrying not anger alone, but resolve. Elsewhere. Midnight. Arya and Daniel sat on the hood of his car, overlooking the city skyline. The champagne buzz had softened into something fragile, almost tender. Funny, isn't it? Daniel murmured, flicking a lighter open and closed, to people who should hate each other. Sitting here instead, Arya smiled faintly. Maybe that's why it feels so easy. No pressure. No rules, just us. He looked at her then, really looked, and for once his sharp, charming mask slipped. Something wounded lived in his gaze. She tilted her head. What? Daniel? Shook his head, smirking it off. Nothing. Just dangerous how you make me forget myself. She laughed softly, then fell quiet. For a moment, she almost reached for his hand. Almost. But across the city, behind mansion walls, a storm was brewing. Liam Westwood had already made his decision, and Sonia knew if he reached Arya before she was ready, the secret of bloodlines would explode in a way none of them could contain. The estate's halls were silent, but Sonia could not sleep. She paced her suite, still in her gown, staring out at the gardens below. Liam's words echoed like a drumbeat. I'll find her myself. Her throat tightened. Arya wasn't ready. Daniel wasn't safe. And Liam, if he uncovered the truth too recklessly, he would set fire to everything Sonia had sacrificed to protect. Across the courtyard, a sliver of light spilled from the study. She caught his silhouette, tall and relentless, rifling through drawers that weren't his. Damn it, Liam, she whispered, pressing her palm to the cold glass. He wasn't waiting. He was hunting already. Downtown rooftop, near 2 a.m., Arya leaned back on her elbows, staring up at the stars blurred by city haze. Daniel sat close, too close, but she didn't move away. You ever feel, she murmured, like you're living someone else's story. Like your whole life is a draft written by hands you never saw. Daniel's jaw tightened. He hadn't told her everything either about his father, about the war of legacy he was trapped in. For once, he wanted to, but the words stuck instead. He let his shoulder brush hers, deliberately, unmistakably. "Every damn day," he said softly. She turned her head, caught in his gaze. And the silence between them went heavy, a silence that begged to be broken with a kiss. But before either could move, Daniel's phone buzzed. A single name lit the screen. Westwood. Arya frowned. "Liam." Daniel's smirk returned, but weaker now. "Speak of the devil." He silenced the call and shoved the phone away. "Don't you need to know?" His eyes locked on hers. "Tonight, I need to be here. With you." And for a heartbeat, Arya believed him. Believed that maybe, just maybe, she could let herself fall. Back at the estate, Liam stood over the desk, a single folder open. Inside, blurred documents, an old hospital record, a name scratched out but still faintly visible. His chest tightened. He whispered it under his breath. "Arya?" And in that moment, the hunt turned into certainty. He knew exactly where to go next. Liam strode through the marble hall, leather jacket thrown over his shoulder, eyes burning with sleepless clarity. The folder was tucked under his arm, the name seared into his mind. Every step toward the garage felt like inevitability. He was going to find her. He was going to look her in the eyes and demand the truth Sonia had hoarded. But as he reached for the car keys, a figure blocked his path. Sonia, still in last night's gown. Hair unpinned, exhaustion clinging to her, but her presence sharp as a blade. "You're not leaving." Liam's laugh was low, bitter. "Try and stop me." Her hand shot out, pressing against his chest. Not forceful, but firm grounding. "You don't know what you're about to unravel." "I know enough," he snapped. He lifted the folder. "Between them, I know her name. I know where to find her. And I know you've been lying to me, Sonia." The word lying cracked through the air like thunder. Her composure faltered, just for a breath. Then she whispered, almost pleading, "If you go to her like this, you'll destroy everything. Hers, yours, Daniel's." At Daniel's name, Liam's head tilted. Daniel, his tone was dangerous. What does he have to do with this? Sonia's pulse raced. She'd said too much. "Nothing," she forced out, though her voice trembled. "Liam, please, I am begging you. Leave this alone until I can." But he stepped back, shaking his head. "You've had years. No more waiting. If Arya is who I think she is, she deserves the truth. From me, not wrapped in your rules and contracts." He brushed past her shoulder, and for the first time Sonia felt the terrible certainty that she was losing control. Across the city, a quiet Kafiria sat across from Daniel, fingers wrapped around a chipped mug of coffee. She hadn't slept, her mind replaying his words from last night. "Tonight, I need to be here. With you." She shouldn't have let that sink so deep. But it had. Daniel leaned back, studying her like she was both puzzle and answer. "What are you running from, Arya?" he asked softly. She froze, because for once someone was close to asking the right question and miles away. Liam Westwood was already on his way to tear down the walls she'd built. The Westwood estate. Moments later, Liam. Sonia's voice cut sharp as glass, echoing through the hall. He didn't stop. His stride was brisk, almost defiant. Boots striking the marble like war drums. "You walk out that door," she warned, "and there is no undoing it. Do you hear me? No coming back." That gave him pause. A half-second flicker. He turned, his head, eyes narrowing. "No undoing what, Sonia?" "The lie you've been feeding me my whole life." She swallowed hard, panic tightening her throat. She had to give him something, a thread strong enough to hold him here. "You think truth heals?" She shot back. "Sometimes it ruins. Sometimes it burns everything down, the kind of fire you can't rebuild from." Liam's jaw locked. He wanted to believe her, but the folder in his hand felt like destiny. "She's my blood," he said slowly. "Then I deserve to burn if that's what it takes." And with that, he pushed the heavy glass doors open. Sonia's nails dug into her palms. For years, she'd orchestrated the boardrooms, the headlines, the scandals, all manageable storms. But this was the kind of storm that would swallow legacies whole. She grabbed her phone, whispering into it as the doors slammed. "Follow." Haim Cayman Islands, the after-show reception. Pulsadaria had escaped the cameras and questions. Clutching a flute of champagne she barely sipped. The air was warm, scented with salt water and orchids, laughter spilling from clusters of designers and models. But her smile was brittle. Daniel Westwood spotted her before she spotted him. He moved through the crowd like a shark that had scented. Blood, sleek, smiling, unreadable. "Arya," he said smoothly, approaching. "You vanished before I had the chance to congratulate you properly. Stunning show. Stunning you." Her shoulders stiffened. "Daniel." She turned, scanning instinctively for Liam, but he wasn't here yet. Daniel studied her face with an unsettling calm. "I was thinking while watching tonight. How peculiar it all feels. Westwood, Ashcroft, and you right in the center. Do you know what I mean?" Her breath caught. He was circling. He knew something. Designers don't usually think in corporate conspiracies. She said lightly, deflecting. But Daniel leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Ah, but family secrets. Those are a different kind of design, aren't they? Patterns, stitched in silence until they unravel in public." Arya's hand trembled around her glass. "What exactly are you implying?" Daniel's smile widened, wolfish. "That maybe you and I are more connected than you realize." Before she could demand clarity, a voice cut through the crowd. "Arya." She turned. Liam stood there, breathless, eyes blazing, folder still clutched in his hand. The space between them shrank, electric and unbearable. Daniel's gaze flicked from one to the other and his smirk deepened. He'd just found his entertainment for the evening poolside, a heartbeat later Arya. A stomach flipped when she saw Liam. His eyes were locked on her, unreadable but heavy, carrying the weight of something final. Daniel lingered, a predator, scenting blood. He lifted his glass, amused. "Well, this feels cinematic. Should I stay for the fireworks?" Liam didn't even look at him. His entire focus was on Arya. He stepped closer, folder tight in his grip, voice low but edged with steel, you knew. The words pierced her chest. She froze, unable to answer, every nerve screaming with guilt. Daniel arched a brow, savoring the tension. "Oh, now, this is interesting." "Careful, Arya. He doesn't strike me as the forgiving type." "Leave us," Liam snapped without shifting his gaze. Daniel chuckled, deliberately slow to obey. He brushed past Arya, leaning close enough for only her to hear. "Secrets don't stay buried forever, darling. And the longer you wait to bleed the truth, the messier it gets." He drifted away, leaving the two of them suspended in the charged air. Liam finally held out the folder. His hand trembled, not from weakness, but fury. "Tell me I'm wrong," he demanded. "Tell me this." His voice cracked. "This isn't who we are." Arya's throat closed. The pool lights shimmered on her face, and suddenly she looked like a woman cornered, every lie clawing at her from the inside. She whispered, "Liam, please." But he shoved the folder into her hands. His voice dropped, guttural, raw. "Say it." The folder felt like fire in Arya's hands. Every muscle in her body urged her to fling it into the water, watch the ink blur, and vanish. But Liam's eyes, God, his eyes were the kind that wouldn't look away until she either told him everything or destroyed them both with silence. Her lips parted, then sealed again. She couldn't breathe. "Arya," Liam said, softer now, but no less dangerous. "Don't make me read it. Don't make me find out without you." Tears prickled hot behind her lashes. She could see herself reflected in him, the man who had been her confidant, her undoing, her impossible love. And now, the man who might never forgive her. Her voice cracked. I didn't mean for it to happen this way. Liam stepped closer, shadows flickering across his face from the pool light. Then tell me, what way was it supposed to happen? Because I've been walking blind into your silence. Arya clutched the folder tighter, nails digging into the thick paper. She could almost hear Sonia's voice in her head. Silence is survival. Silence protects. But Daniel's mocking whisper lingered too. The longer you wait, the messier it gets. Her shoulders shook. The words tumbled out before she could stop. Then you're not supposed to be my enemy, she whispered. You're not supposed to be the one holding the knife? Liam's jaw tightened. Then who is? Her breath hitched. She couldn't look at him, so she stared at the folder instead, trembling. Trapped between confession and collapse, Arya's grip slackened. The folder slid from her hands, landing with a flat slap against the tiles. The papers fanned out birth. Records, signatures, fragments of a truth too sharp to hide. Liam didn't look at them. His gaze stayed on her. Say it, he demanded, voice raw. Don't let the paper do it for you. Her chest rose and fell like she was drowning on dry land. For years she had buried this secret so deep it had grown roots in her veins. To tear it out now felt like tearing herself apart. You. Her voice trembled, breaking halfway. She closed her eyes, tears spilling. You're not who you think you are, Liam. He took a step closer. Then who am I? She swallowed hard, words sticking like glass in her throat. You're my brother. Silence detonated. The night air seemed to freeze. Even the water stopped its gentle lapping. Liam's face went white, then red, then blank. He stumbled back a step, shaking his head like he'd misheard. No, no. He kicked the folder, sending pages scattering into the pool. You don't get to say that. Not after everything. Not after his voice broke. Ragged. Arya sobbed, clutching herself as though her own arms could hold her from shattering. I didn't want this to fall on you. I wanted to protect you from it. From her. From Sonia. But the blood doesn't. Lie, Liam. The words hit him like blows. He staggered back again, hand pressed to his mouth, eyes wild. His breaths came sharp and shallow, like he couldn't fill his lungs. You knew, he whispered hoarsely. All this time, you knew. And you let me? He broke off, fury and grief warring in his throat. Arya reached for him, desperate. I swear I never wanted to hurt you. He recoiled like her touch was fire. Too late. And with that, Liam turned, storming toward the darkened path out of the poolside. Arya sank to her knees, papers floating around her like the ashes of a fire that had finally consumed them both. Liam's footsteps echoed down the empty corridor, fast and uneven, like he was being chased by the truth itself. He slammed Sonia's door open without knocking. The force rattled the hinges, and Sonia, seated at her desk with a glass of wine, looked up slowly, calm, composed, to calm. So, she said, swirling the glass, she finally told you. The sound of her voice, soft and deliberate, sent Liam into a rage. He strode inside, slamming his fists against her desk. You knew, he snarled, voice raw. All this time you knew, and you let me his. Breath caught, shame and fury choking him. You let me walk blind into hell. Sonia leaned back in her chair, studying him with those sharp, calculating eyes that had never flinched from fire. You were always going to find out, Liam, whether from her mouth or mine or the papers I've been guarding for years. Think this is a game? His voice cracked, veins straining at his neck. Do you have any idea what this does to me? To us? Sonia rose slowly, setting the glass aside. She moved closer, her heels clicking softly on the floor. Don't you dare put this on me. I didn't bring you into my bed. I didn't kiss you under false pretenses. She did. Arya made her choices that burned both of you. Liam's hands trembled, clenching and unclenching. You're poison. You sit here, watching, waiting for us to destroy each other because you thrive on it. Her lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile, and yet still come to me. When you're broken, when you're raging, you always end up at my door. She stepped close enough that he could smell the faint trace of her perfume, the wine on her breath. 'Cause part of you knows, Liam, I'm the only one who's never lied to you. His eyes burned. He wanted to scream, to run, to collapse. Instead, he shoved her back, voice shaking. You don't own me. You don't get to twist this into your victory. But Sonia only tilted her head, gaze sharp as a blade. We'll see. As Liam stormed out, Sonia turned back toward her desk, her fingers brushing over the scattered files, waiting for her next move. The pieces were shifting, and she knew exactly how to play them. Arya sat on the edge of her bed, the night pressing, heavy against the windows. The room was silent except for her shaky breaths. Her confession to Liam replayed in her mind like a cruel echo, every word tearing her apart. He knows now, and he'll never look at me the same again. She clutched the pendant at her neck, the one Liam had given her months ago, back when everything felt pure. Her fingers dug into it until the metal bit her skin, but she couldn't let go. It was the last thing tying her to him. The knock on her door was soft. Too soft, she froze. Then came the voice, smooth, deliberate Arya. Daniel, she wanted to scream at him to go away, but her voice failed. The door creaked open anyway, and Daniel stepped inside, his presence filling the space like smoke. He didn't ask permission. He never did. His eyes swept over her, red-eyed and trembling, and a slow, knowing smile tugged at his lips. So, he murmured, shutting the door behind him, the secret's out. Arya's chest tightened. Leave. Me alone. Daniel didn't. He moved closer, each step deliberate, like a predator circling prey. I warned you, didn't I? I told you lies always rot the foundation. And now. His hand gestured carelessly, like her ruin was just another fact. Crumbling. Her eyes filled with tears, but she forced herself to look at him. You don't know what love is. You only know how to break people. Daniel crouched in front of her, his voice dropping to a low whisper that made her shiver. Maybe. But right now, Arya, who's here? Him? No. He's out there bleeding, raging, questioning everything he thought he knew. And you're in here, drowning? He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Shh, jerked away. But he only chuckled softly. You'll see it soon enough. In the end, they always come back to the ones who can handle the fire. And that, my sweet Arya. His gaze darkened. Isn't him? She sat rigid, her heart pounding with fear, anger, and despair. When he finally stood and left, the room felt colder than before. Arya buried her face in her hands and whispered to the silence, Liam, please don't let this destroy us. But outside in the corridor, Daniel's smirk lingered. He had planted the seed, and he knew it would grow. To be continued.